Hey, I see myself. Oh crap! That's the downside with green screen. Part of my avatar just becomes completely see-through at the eyes.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh
like,
my
yeah,
god.
I chroma key to the best of my ability.
Usually, and I will admit, most of the time when I chroma key, I actually do red instead, because my avatar myself is so green coded.
hmm
So yeah.
That makes
Um,
sense.
Let me know if you want to switch over to red.
That's okay. We'll make it work unless you want to do, and then I'll re-chroma key you. Up
All
to
right.
you.
Tell you what. Give me 1 second, because what I'll do is let me do green screen. Let me make a copy of this. Did I? Hold up.
All right,
Did I
guys.
make one that's just straight up red screen? I did not. Okay. Let me do. I'm gonna do some interesting stuff on the side. If you'll bear with me.
All right,
Maybe we can
guys.
do this.
I know we're live, and you're gonna see some of the behind the scenes of the pains of being a VTuber.
Yeah, especially someone who uses so much blue and green like I do.
Yeah. Also, it's really funny because every time I look to like my OBS, which is on the right for me, it looks like I'm
Mhm.
looking directly at you, like, "What's up?"
Yeah,
So if
I
I want
saw
to
the
question
same
you, I'll just be
thing.
like, "What's up?"
Hey, how's it going? But yeah, and it's funny because like anytime I'm doing anything, um, like work-wise, it'll be on the left screen, so it will be look like I'm looking at you. So hey, what's up?
So,
Let me do a
also, I'm
quick
using my iPhone to
save.
capture via V2 Studio to send it to VC Face.
Ah,
So yeah, like I have more freedom of movement of expression and stuff. So it's like one of the few
than you usually
things
do.
that I'm glad I have an iPhone for at
Yeah.
this very moment.
I have something similar, and I actually bought an iPhone specifically so that I could use not VC Face. What is it? Give me 1 second because I can't remember the name of the app.
It's not
iFacial
GarageBand.
mocap.
Oh, iFacial mocap. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep, yep, and I use that for mine, and then I had some help from a fellow VTuber, Coco Man,
Mm.
and how to get my avatar more expressive.
Mm. I mean, that makes sense.
There we go.
This isn't even the
Make sure
interview
that
part, and
actually.
we're already starting strong. We're already talking about random stuff, hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep,
no,
yep.
this
All
is
right, I'm.
the can stream, whether it's Creators Against Normalcy on Twitch or Cards Against Neptunia official on YouTube. A
Yep.
pre-welcome as we start, as we are setting up. You know,
Yeah.
if you guys couldn't tell, I'm here with Methrael today, um,
Hello
which
there,
which you
everyone.
should be able to tell from the just from the stream title.
Yeah.
Oh wait, on Twitch it says we're playing Euro Truck Simulator instead of just chatting. I,
Well,
I
it,
should I
it
should log
happens.
in. I should log into the Twitch chat. I should log in and actually correct that. Oh, and now everything went red. Scary for
All
you
right, I'm gonna
guys.
turn that. I'm gonna do the green screen until you have it chroma keyed for red. Let me know when
No,
you're
no,
ready, and
no. Just do that
you want me
because
to set it
I'll
like
just do it
this?
live. It's fine. Yeah, I can
Okay.
change it from my end.
Yeah, and you'll see a whole heck of a lot less of me disappear when you chroma key for red. Like my
Okay,
eyes
that
won't
is too
disappear.
much.
What are we working with? Let me jump over. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh!
I have a very aggressively chroma keyed for green, so that's why.
Ah, that's why. Okay.
Mm.
Yep. And you can just trim
There's gonna be
the
a
window
little
on the
bit
left-hand
of
side too.
red. You're gonna have a little bit of a red aura. Your
That's
aura,
fine. I'm
your
actually kind of used to that.
your aura maxing, man. What can I say?
I'm aura.
Your
I'm
aura
aura
maxing.
farming.
Your aura farming. All right,
There
and
we go.
because I want to keep this kind of professional, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to quickly jump into Creators Against Normalcy. Um, like, so I can change it to just chatting.
Right.
Give me 1 second while I do that.
Take your time.
You would think that we'd be good at this, and I would say we are, but that doesn't mean that, you know.
Brother man, if it's not Scuff, it's not VTubers, okay?
You know what? I would say I'm surprisingly not scuffy for a VTuber.
Me either most of the time. Like, I have, out of all of the different streams that I've done.
Okay, perfect. Now it's now it says just chatting as the category. There you go.
Yep. And meet the canteen, Methrael.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yes,
I see it on my
sir.
side. Fantastico.
So anyway, Matt, how are you doing today? Because if you're okay with mentioning why you've been streaming less.
It's actually been the last week has been hell because of a group of temperature changes. We had hot, cold in rapid succession, and it shredded my immune system. So because I don't really have much of an immune system, I couldn't fight it.
Yeah, so Meth doesn't have what I do in these situations, which is like an immune system that works.
Yeah.
Also because, especially like post-hospitalization, I've been very, very careful with my health. So on top of my normal fact that, like, I'm pretty robust as a human being, I would say, all things considered.
Yeah.
No offense to you or to anyone else that has, any immunocompromisations. It's just a fact. I'm sorry. Like, I was very sick as a child, and I gained a ton of immunities because of it, because I didn't die.
I had gained a ton of immunities too, but one of the problems that my immunity was towards my own digestive system. Well, so they're like, "Holy shit, we gotta curl it back a little bit."
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like you have a disease specifically.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's life.
Yep. I mean, like I said, I'm here with Methrael. You saw a little bit behind the scenes of like the things that we do as VTubers. As you saw, we changed his chroma key from green to red, and then obviously because I have a very aggressively chroma keyed for the color green. As a person who has no green on myself, obviously I had to adjust that as well. And I mean, here we're Meth. Meth, please introduce yourself for anybody who doesn't know who you are. Or if you want me to, I will always give you the option.
I'm Methrael. Mine is the realm of fascination, and by that I mean Wow, I can't. Why can't I put that into words right now? Holy crap! That's all I remember is mine is the realm of fascination. Anyway, I am a Dream Lord VTuber. In other words, there is a world of dreams, a realm of dreams that exists inside the minds of every living thing, and I've established in the world of dreams one particular section where all things fascinating can be found: wonder, splendor, beauty, things that'll inspire you. And that is where I stream from, is the realm of fascination.
I will say my introduction was not nearly as elaborate as essentially as a person who likes anime.
Okay,
you can tell my introduction was a little bit shorter.
Brother, but, have you seen my lore screen? Have you seen my lore?
No, I've seen it before. Have you seen my lore screen? Because I don't have one.
Okay, fair. Mine was like a full short story, and I'm just like, I am too into short stories.
Like essentially, my lore is like, as a VTuber, I VTube as something exact opposite of what I am IRL. Because in real life, I'm tall, I'm male. I mean, I guess there's nothing that says that the model I'm using isn't male, but it clearly looks like a lolly girl. But the reason why is I like that like contrast of like my deep voice coming out of small girl face. It just makes me laugh.
That is entirely fair.
So
I can think of two things that are similar between you and your model.
What's up?
if you're okay with me saying them.
Yeah, go for it.
1, black hair.
Yeah.
2,
It's a
glasses.
and yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the glasses I worked hard on. You know.
Okay.
That's what I'll say.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, yeah, it is essentially the equivalent of stock or free assets to get these glasses, but the fact I got them working is what I'm proud of. You know.
That is pretty kick-ass, actually.
Because like, and I would say those are two things like I don't shy away from. Like I'm happy having black hair IRL and in model, and I am happy wearing glasses IRL and in model. Like a lot of people have asked me, is like, do you ever consider getting contacts and stuff? I go no. Slightly because I'm afraid to put them into my eye, but also slightly because I like wearing glasses.
Yeah, I had gone with contacts for a fair amount of time, actually. But the problem I ran into was it takes time to put them in, and I started running out of time in the mornings in order to get them put in.
But you still have them available to you, right?
Not anymore. The prescription ran out, and I haven't had a chance to refill them like that.
Oh, got it.
It's also a cost-benefit analysis type thing. Like,
That makes sense.
Great without wearing glasses, and I don't have like these dark circles under my eyes when I'm not wearing glasses, because glasses actually cause dark circles, which is weird. But I guess it has to do with like it's a light radiation bending thing. Like your eyes, because they're receiving more light, more melanin and more pigment will gather in that area to fight off things like skin cancer.
That would make more sense if I actually went outside more enough for it. Actually, I probably go outside a good amount, so maybe it does make sense that I do have dark circles. But usually people say it's because I'm sleeping only 2 to 4 hours a night. You know?
I think it has more to do with the glasses myself, but because I do not sleep 2 to 4 hours a night, I sleep way more than that. Specifically because I have to.
Yeah.
But
anyway, obviously this is a get to know the Can team for projects we're doing in the future, and this is why we're doing this. So Meth, glad to have you here. You are not one of the founding members of the Can team, but no one will know that.
Surprisingly, yeah.
A lot of people don't know that 3 founding members includes me, Code, and Kuzuri specifically.
Right.
And
I was
people
member
just assume.
number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember, like, when we originally started, before the Can team got started, I remember, what was it? The Neptunia Amino was how a lot of us met and got acquainted.
Oh yeah, I think that's where we met. Yeah.
Yep. And the Neptunia, well, you and me were actually a little bit different. I actually introduced you to the Neptunia Amino in person.
Yes.
And then I think that was how you met Code and Kuzuri, who at the time, I think his name was, what was it? Was it Dragonix?
It was like Dragonix, I think.
Yeah, I think it was Dragonix. Okay.
Something like that.
It was Dragonix then.
Either way. Yeah.
Yep. He's gone through a couple of name changes, but he's Kuzuri now.
I would say haven't we all, but like realistically, like I think half of us have and half of us have just kept the same name.
I'm gonna be honest. I think only 2 of us have not changed our names, and that's been Code and me.
Yeah, like I said, half of us have name changes, half of us have not.
Oh, that's true. That is half. Holy crap.
Basically
okay,
half.
Yeah.
60% is close enough for government work, guys.
I mean, honestly, if you take a look at what Code calls himself on Discord now, it's completely different, but okay.
I mean, there's a code in there somewhere if you look hard enough,
Yeah, it's in his original. It's in his
maybe
account
somewhere
name,
there.
I think. And it's not even the same Code V we know him as.
Yeah, meanwhile on Discord, I keep the anime fan RK2K monitor going still.
Yep. I've been Methrael for... Oh god, how long have I been Methrael for?
Years. A long time now, right?
More than a decade.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been and this may actually be one of your questions, but my name actually comes from a character that I created when I was playing World of Warcraft. And I had decided for the end of Wrath of the Lich King and all throughout Cataclysm, I was going to play as a shaman. So I picked a Draenei Shaman, and I started playing as a Draenei Shaman enhancement. And I had to come up with a name. I'm like, okay, so how am I going to come up with a name? And suddenly the name just clicked in my name. It clicked in my head, Methrael, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go with that. So, and I based it off of Mithral. Nothing to do with drugs, nothing to do with meth. Mithral. And apparently, the name stuck so well that I was the first Methrael in World of Warcraft. There were eventually accounts on almost every server where somebody started using the name afterwards. It got to the point where when Blizzard announced the expansion for Diablo 3, the final boss's name originally in beta was Methrael. And they were doing tests with, beta players against the Methrael boss fight. And then when it went retail, they changed it to Malthael, and I'm like, wait, what?
So,
that was interesting.
Basically, Meth is admitting that he has played World of Warcraft on every server ever. Clearly.
Yes. No, not really. No, that was Diablo 3.
Yeah. No. I actually wasn't going to ask you about your name origin, except like here, and it's a good thing you actually went into it on your own. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, cool.
Good on you. Because, like, this is obviously an introduction section, This is the part, like, where... Mm-hmm. This is the part where it's really nice to have another person here. Interviewing myself sucks, because I'm just like, But, like, being able to bounce off of somebody, like, I can sit here, I can let you breathe, let you spread your wings and say the things you need to. And I could sit back and listen sometimes. Because you know me IRL. We are friends, in real life, coworkers in real life as well. And Beth knows I don't shut up. I can yap for
That's
as long as...
That's one of my problems too.
Yeah.
I don't shut up. Well, go on.
Yeah, I am a certified yapper. Yep. But like I like bouncing around in a conversation more. Because, it's controlled yapping is easier than just talking.
Yeah.
Depends on the subject, too. Because there are some subjects where, like, I'll just keep going forever.
Yep.
But, like, for the most part, Don't
get me started on Dragon Quest!
I mean, we'll talk about that. And actually, leading to that...
great, okay.
First things first. We have a series of questions. These are going to be speed questions, very quick, off the top of your head. We want to get your favorites, real quick, of these 10 subjects, right? Starting with, what is your favorite anime?
Anime? Serial Experiments Lane.
Okay, good choice. What's your favorite color?
Somewhere between purple and green.
All right. What's your favorite food?
Chicken cacciatore.
Okay. What's your favorite game genre?
Metroidvania.
Okay. What's your favorite season?
Late spring.
Okay. What's your favorite sport?
To play or to watch?
Either.
Okay.
Take your pick on it.
You know what? I'm gonna go with karate.
Okay. Is that to play or to watch?
That's actually both.
Okay. And so it was the same anyway,
I just didn't really... Yeah, I don't really think of karate as a sport. I just think of it as, like, martial arts training. Doing kata and such. So, go on.
What's your favorite vacation spot?
The only time I've ever gone
or ideal vacation spot as well. It doesn't have to be
ideal vacation spot?
Japan. Yeah, if you don't have like a real favorite one.
Japan, but I think I'd get more out of it in my mind than I would out of like relaxation, restoration, chill out, and spend money.
Surprisingly, though, I will probably say like I think you get a lot out of Japan, including like that, including the relaxation and stuff too. Like,
you think so?
Yeah, I think so. Like it's a beautiful country to go visit. Well, I'll say. Your favorite video game?
Oh God, that's a hard one. I have played so freaking many. I can give you a couple of good ones. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is amazing. Metroid Dread is amazing.
It doesn't have to only be Metroid.
Terraria. Oh my God.
All right.
Oh my God, I think Terraria nailed it.
Okay. All right. Console, PC, or handheld?
PC now.
Hmm?
PC now.
PC
it used
now?
to be console, but like I've been very much at odds with Nintendo lately.
And who's your favorite YouTuber or streamer?
Oh, that's hard.
It was hard for me too.
You know what? I'm gonna say Aurora Phoenix.
Okay.
Without her, I would not be who and what I am right now.
All right.
In late stage wise,
right. Yeah, those are the speed questions. These are their warm ups. These aren't even the Methrael centric questions. This could be stuff I asked everyone. What's your favorite food again? You said chicken cacciatore?
Chicken cacciatore, yeah.
What is a chicken cacciatore?
Chicken cacciatore is the way that it was made by my family. It's basically... Now, I will admit, the way I understood chicken cacciatore as a kid was completely wrong. I found out much later what chicken cacciatore was supposed to be.
And you also found out what the kitchen was too, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I worked in the industry, and that's how I found out. Anywho, so chicken cacciatore, in reality, is literally just chicken breast with sauce. That is all chicken cacciatore has to be. But the way that I understood it, and the reason why it is my favorite dish, is because for me, it was spaghetti with a heavily bolstered and flavored red sauce with chicken cutlets in it.
Oh, okay.
So, if I were to... I say it's chicken cacciatore, but in reality, it is spaghetti with red sauce and chicken cutlets. Or, in other words, a chicken cacciatore with a side of 75% spaghetti. Where most of it is pasta.
Okay, so it's essentially a pasta meat dish with chicken. Okay.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Got it. And you said your favorite sport's karate, both to practice and to watch. Have you watched any karate recently?
Only in person, not recently. Okay. I don't really watch sports per se.
Yeah.
I had gone to several martial arts tournaments funded by the IFK, International Federation of Karate, in which you would get to see, and most of the students of the school that I studied, Kyokushinkai, the sparring was 100% knockdown or knockout.
Yeah.
And I found out later that that our school, which was started by Sosai Oyama, was all of the sparring was knockdown, and most of the other schools across the planet did not do that, or did not do that anymore. And I'm like, oh, no wonder everybody thinks of us as super hardcore. What the hell? So like, we'd always aim for knockdown, unless you were like kids who were sparring. At that point, it's just tag and, get the point. But when you're an adult, it's hit them to the point where they knock down, drop them to the floor, and that's a point. And sometimes that results in a knockout. But apparently that's a carryover from Goju-ryu, which is a style, one of the root styles. It was Shotokan, Goju-ryu, Judo, and I believe not Taekwondo. What was the other one? Kung Fu.
Okay,
It was 4 things all mashed together. And I found out that, no, it wasn't Kung Fu. It was Taekwondo. Because, Sosai Oyama was his Japanese name. He was actually a Korean immigrant. So, that was an interesting thing to find out when I was doing more research on his history. Sorry, certified yapper. My brain does not shut up.
Hey, that's what we're here to do. We're here to talk.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll say the same thing. I had difficulty also naming my favorite YouTuber streamer. Like, I chose Grand Blue Bear on my end because I just I like my Mario content, and I like my variety content, and it's when it comes to like somebody I actually still like watch with some consistency. I still catch his stream sometimes, and I still I watch his content on YouTube, so so that's kind of like where I am on that one.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think like these first few questions from the speed round, like, kind of gives people a feel on like the type of person you are. And
that's fair. That is entirely fair.
Yeah, and I think you've done a good job of that. So good on you.
Hey. Thank you.
I mean, literally expecting like when I do this for Cody, he's gonna tell me to F off for like all 10 of these questions. So,
Oh God.
which will also give people an impression on the type of person he is.
I mean, again, entirely fair. He's a man of few words and many physical gestures.
He's a man of many words, all the same.
Right. And all said at the exact same volume.
Yeah. Obviously, I would comment on Serial Experiment Lane, but I think that a lot of people have watched Serial Experiment Lane now more so than ever before. Will go, yeah, that is a very relatable to the current epidemic of internet culture in modern society. So, go watch it. It's amazing.
I will say a close second though. Now that I'm thinking about it, is Recreators.
I haven't watched Recreators. It's on my to-watch list. I mean,
You should. It's so good.
There's a lot of anime on my to-watch list. Like, it's not.
A lot of people shit on it, and I'm just like, I think it's because they don't get it.
I mean, like, isn't that true for like most things? Like, where, I mean, like, the understanding comes from people wanting to understand, and they don't. They go, I don't get it.
Right. Yeah.
All right. With that said, now that you finished the short, the short in quotations, speed rounds, it's time to ask you the real questions, the meaty, juicy ones. For example, Matt, question 1 for you. What is your favorite and most hated video game character?
Most hated
video game character. Yeah, I'm starting with a softball. Totally.
Oh God, I'm trying to figure out, because like I said, I have played far too many. Favorite video game.
It would be a lot less fun if you only played like 2 games. That's
I know,
this
right?
question. Like, you play like Super Mario Brothers. I like Mario. I hate Bowser. It's like, oh, okay.
All right, favorite video game character. I would have to say Erdrick.
From?
He is from Dragon Quest III.
Thank you.
Although that's kind of a spoiler, unfortunately. because although nowadays it's really not a spoiler, in the original days of when Dragon Quest was first coming out, in the first game you played as the Descendant of Erdrick, and in the second game you played as the descendants of the Descendant of Erdrick. The third game doesn't seem to be related at all until the very end, when you find yourself in the same world that Dragon Quest 1 took place in. When you finish the game, the king names you with the title of Erdrick, and you're like, wait, this was a prequel the entire time? So...
Yeah, as a person...
But that is now...
Yeah, as a person who's recently played the Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, and will probably play Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake when they come out. Like, I'm playing it in, I guess, chronological order, the games.
Yes, so. That is correct. Chronological order. But, and that's one of the reasons that I didn't really like the fact that they did 3 first, because it steals the oh my god, seriously, this is a sequel, this is the prequel the entire time from new players, which I guess is a kind of an experimental thing.
Well, you know, like in that regard, let me read really back to like Fate Zero. Like, I don't fault people for watching Fate Zero as their first Fate series, because like a lot of the big impacts of the original Fate Stay Night light novel is playing through, you know, Fate Stay Night and finding out who Saber actually is and things like that, and that she was involved in the 4th Holy Grail War. Those are all big, momentous reveals. But, you know, you watch Fate Zero, you'd find out exactly who Saber is, and that she's participating in the 4th Holy Grail War literally in the first episode. And but I don't think it waters it down. I think it just gives people a different core experience of the franchise. In this case, like, because it's been so long since I played the Dragon Quest games, I told you this in private, and I've said it publicly before, but I played Dragon Quest 3 in Japanese. I hated my experience with it because I couldn't beat it, because I got stuck in a lot of places.
Because you couldn't read Japanese.
Because I can't read Japanese.
Oh, you still can't. Okay. I mean, thought perhaps maybe that'll changed eventually.
Well, I've learned half of the hiragana alphabet. I still need to learn the other half of it, and then I have to learn katakana.
And you still got katakana.
And then and then I have kanji to learn, and then I'll be able to actually read it, and then the understanding has to come after.
Yeah, like it's knowing what the letters. Right, everything's always going to be a work in progress for that type of thing. So I'm gonna rub in my eyes here. Okay. But like, and when it comes to Fate Stay Night, like, I can understand people wanting to see Fate Zero first, because in Fate Stay Night, which do you watch? Do you watch Fate Stay Night? Do you watch Unlimited Blade Works, or do you watch Heaven's Feel?
Yeah, I mean,
I have to watch all of them before you watch.
I mean, I would argue that the Studio Dean adaptation of Fate Stay Night is not a bad adaptation. But it does take elements from UBW and Heaven's Feel and adds it kind of like haphazardly into the story. But at the same time, it's still a decent watch. It's just old and dated, and it's not ufotable quality like Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. Not the movie, because the movie's absolute trash, but the actual TV series of it.
Shit. And I gotta watch Part 3 of Heaven's Feel. I still.
If you know what. If you're ever in the area, I own all 3 on Blu-ray at my house. Feel free to stop in.
That's true.
Like, you know, maybe if you come down for like, you know, the holiday party or something, you know.
Maybe, yeah.
Like later this year, if you want to watch them. Yeah.
That's possibly also another thing I could throw on the vote for Friday night movie nights. Now that I think about it.
There you go. There you go.
The Heaven's Feel movies.
There you go.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. So, but who's your most hated video game character now? Because you said Erdrick is your favorite.
I have to think. Kefka is not a hated character. I love him as a character. I hate him as a person.
I mean, I think that's intention. That's why Kefka is my favorite. My favorite Final Fantasy villain of all time.
Oh my god, he's the best. He is the absolute fucking best.
He's the clown that turns the entire world into his clown court.
Yeah, he turned that frown upside down along with the rest of the world. Oh my god, that dude. How has he hated video game characters?
Yeah.
It's not Bowser.
No, people like Bowser. People love Bowser. Some people love Bowser too much, but people love Bowser.
You know,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you could knock Ridley off that list that quickly, considering the things he did. But at the same time, I guess character development for Samus, right?
Well, yeah, it's character development for Samus, and it also establishes, Oh!
I mean, to be fair, when it comes to the Metroid franchise, I think I dislike the Chozo more than I do Ridley, because I feel like the Chozo did so little for the universe.
They were basically space Buddhists, dude.
They were really stupid about being space Buddhists, is what I'll say.
They kind of were. Yeah, they were.
That's why I like Ridley and Samus more, for obvious reasons.
Ridley and Samus, but I will say, what's the name of the dude who shows up at the very end of Other M?
I haven't played
I think
it,
he's
so
like a major. Let me do a quick, because I think he is my most hated enemy in gaming.
He's your enemy.
At the end of Other M, because of not just the role that he does and doesn't play, but the things that he's not there for, that he's responsible for. The fact that who is the military general who shows up at the end of Other M? Is just he's known as the Colonel.
Okay.
So the thing about the Colonel in the Metroid series is that you will have to reestablish your understanding of what quote-unquote bounty hunters and the Galactic Federation are. Bounty hunters are not actually bounty hunters. If you take that phrase and replace it with independent agent or something like that, where they're they are somebody who, they're like a merc. They're like a mercenary. They're an independent authority type thing. They do their shit for money, but they decide which jobs they take and don't. Fuck. I'm gonna figure that out later. They are independent agents, whereas the Galactic Federation is like a mercenary organization that has been set up and granted authority by basically the interplanetary version of NATO, if you want to think of it like that.
Okay.
Or the United Nations.
I was gonna say, like, I was thinking more to like United Nations when I thought of it, but like I think NATO's actually a better comparison.
Yeah. So the whole idea is that this Galactic Federation, which is in reality a mercenary organization, what they did between the end of Super Metroid and throughout Other M and Metroid Fusion is that they scraped Samus's suit for cell cultures, and they managed to take a cell scraping of a Metroid, and then they reactivated all of that and cloned Metroids based off of that. The Colonel was one of the ones who set that up, but he did it without the authority of anybody else. Like, the chancellor, essentially, of the Galactic Federation, the mercenary group, who said, holy shit, that is a terrible idea. Let's, not do this, because Adam wrote a paper explaining the dangers of, why this should never be attempted.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, okay, we're going to put that to bed. And he's like, I'll do you one better. Let's make a ship that makes bioweapons, and at the heart of it is going to be Metroids. They're like, I'm sorry, what, sir? He's doing all of this without anybody's approval, and at the very tail end, rather than, come in and say, hey, we're just going to shut down this whole project, what he's actually doing is collecting the information and setting it up at a second location at BSL. He decided to outsource the research to another company, which caused an entire other crisis at BSL Labs, just outside planet SR-388, and that's his fault. What's worse is that because of that, the Galactic Federation, in its databanks, has all of the genome information for the Metroids, has all of the genome information for Ridley, and all of the other things that were killed on planet Zebes. The Colonel is the worst character, is the most hated character, I think. Because without him, none of the rest of the bad shit would have happened.
Meth has yapped a lot about this guy. This guy is clearly his least favorite. He talked less about Dragon Quest than he has about this guy.
Dragon Quest is about an ideology. And honestly, I think so is the Colonel. The Colonel is... Dragon Quest, Erdrick, his ideology is... the survival and the fate of the world is the top priority. The Colonel is the embodiment of fuck the universe, I'm making as much money off of this as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I understand.
Colonel Mammon, I'm calling him. How about that?
I understand that, how do you put it? The motivation behind the Colonel is just fucked up.
It is completely fucked up.
Like the lengths he goes to for the fucked up shit he does is just fucked up.
Yep.
Because there's no point. And there's very little that resisted him in his pursuits. So I understand.
Very little. And it made me realize that potentially Metroid Dread could be something very different. I'm starting to think of Metroid Dread. Did you finish Dread?
No.
Do you intend to finish Dread?
Probably not, no.
Do you know the full story behind Dread?
No, because I don't give a shit about the game anymore. Because I thought Emmys were annoying. I'm like...
They're only annoying the first time through.
I mean, that means that they're going to be annoying forever because I'm not going to beat the game.
Fair. So
I don't care about spoilers for Metroid Dread. I mean, there are people that will, but I don't.
In-game, Metroid Dread, Samus goes to ZDR. This happens after fusion. She's got Metroid DNA in her, and Ravenbeak abducts her, damn near kills her, and triggers her Metroid DNA to start growing within her. The culture that was given to her as a vaccine. But she's able to control it. So, throughout the game, he is throwing Emmys and creatures and all kinds of shit at her to help her Metroid DNA become more and more prevalent to the point where she just becomes a Metroid human hybrid with full control over her own faculties.
Okay.
Except for maybe the energy drain. The idea at the tail end of the game is that he plans to kill her at the very tail end and then clone an army of the most powerful Metroid ever, Samus Aran, and take over the universe with it.
Okay, like generic shit.
Yeah. Given the situation that happened with the Colonel in Other M, the Galactic Federation has a data backup of the Metroid DNA. So they can just splice it out of, using CRISPR. Or those type of, grafting situations. Ravenbeak would not need to capture and kill Samus in order to obtain the Metroid DNA. If that were true. Instead, if all of that were true and the Galactic Federation has, data backups of Metroid DNA, literally Ravenbeak did this as a way for Samus to grow stronger. In a way very similar to a father figure.
Oh, so your theory is that Ravenbeak is like actually trying to make Samus stronger?
Being a dad. Mm-hmm.
Was he a Chozo?
He is. He's a Chozo.
I didn't know that.
He's the leader of the Makin tribe.
I didn't even know that. I just guessed because his name is Ravenbeak, and the Chozo are like a bird-like race.
Yep. Ravenbeak is the leader of the Makin tribe, which is a warlike tribe. They worship at the altar of power, in the words of Quiet Robe. Quiet Robe was a scientist of the Thoha tribe who was responsible for creating the Metroids and controlling the Metroids. Anyway, we went real far on that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's why these are like the main questions, And it's up to you to go as far or, as short as you want. You could go long or you could just go 10 yards. It's fine. Either way. First down.
I went for a fucking Shinkansen trip, okay?
Dude, you went from kickoff to touchdown, okay? Let's go.
Okay, that's fair.
The American football fans would get that one. All like one of you. Anyway, next question.
Oh, one of them on the left.
What is your favorite and least favorite game mechanic? Now, this is obviously tailor-made for you to answer this one, Matt. Because I feel like when it comes to game mechanics, you have you probably have one or ones you really like, and you definitely have ones you don't.
Yes. Okay.
You can be as general or as specific as you want.
I like games that grow and evolve as you play them.
Okay.
They have to grow, but they have to evolve too. That's one of the biggest reasons I enjoy Metroidvanias, because at the start you're limited to a specific area. Once you get used to that area and you gain more capabilities, not only can you go to other areas, but later on you can come back and re-experience the areas that you've been in greater detail.
Okay.
I love that about Terraria because it is literally hundreds upon hundreds of hours of just that. That's the reason I like Metroidvania games. It's the reason why I like most of the Dragon Quest series. There are certain games in Dragon Quest that I feel don't embody that very well.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they really do try with that. It's part of the reason I don't like most of the functionalities in most of the Final Fantasy games. 5 is my favorite because of that.
So yeah, like on the flip side, what is your least favorite game mechanic?
My least favorite game mechanic is... Okay. Can I put gacha on that list?
I mean, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
As a person who loves and hates gacha, on my side, I'm fine with you saying gacha is a mechanic, because it is a mechanic.
It is an absolute mechanic, but it's not just a mechanic for gameplay and design. It's a mechanic for monetization with bottomless
Well,
resource potential.
so what about games that have gacha mechanics that don't monetize it? Then, because like I'm at like for you to further elaborate on the gacha mechanic on why you like as your least favorite, is it because that a lot of companies use it as an exploitative monetative and exploitative practice? But what about games
Yes,
that
that
have a
is.
gacha mechanic that isn't that they don't monetize at all?
I actually don't really like that very. I don't like it. I don't dislike it to the degree where I hate the monetized version, but I do still dislike it. Unless there is an undernet that prevents you from spending infinite hours. If there is a.
No.
If
I
there
would
is
I
a.
would argue that if a gacha mechanic has some form of way of monetizing it, then it is a monetized gacha mechanic. For
No,
example,
I
like if
agree.
there's like a
I agree with you
stamina
there, but that's not what
system
I'm talking about.
that you use real money for instead of like spending money on the gacha itself, I would consider that a monetized blueprint for gacha.
That's fair, but that's not what I'm referring to. I figured what you meant was like you gain in-game resources and then you spend those in-game resources to perform a gotcha, but there's no way to purchase those in-game resources and the game isn't limit locked behind a stamina system.
Yes.
Like I will say the gotcha mechanic in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, for example. How you summon new blades is essentially a gotcha mechanic. If there is no pity system in which you can theoretically spend infinite hours grinding away at the materials you want to get and still not get Cosmos, I don't like that.
Okay, yeah.
If there's a pity system that lets you eventually, after a certain amount of pulls, pull Cosmos, then I am perfectly fine with that.
So
You know, it,
you
it
you'd be
doesn't.
you'd be happier for if gacha systems were more transparent and they also had like a guaranteed or a pity system that was fair to
Yes,
the
because
player.
then you're not asking somebody for a chance to throw away their life for some data.
Hmm. Have you heard that like for the Hoyoverse games they've added something new to like their gacha screens where they tell you what the price of essentially purchasing a 5-star character is? Or like if you granted without like top up bonuses of like blah blah blah. Like if you just
Right.
so like now they actually go like for example like I think it's like $450 it says like for if you wanted to purchase a 5-star like
Oh
and
my
you got
god.
max. Now to be fair, it's not a realistic number because it assumes that you bought like the $1 or whichever or $5 packs that don't have bonus gotcha currency like linked to them, right?
Right. Right.
So it is the most amount of money that you can possibly spend, but it's now transparently shown on like their gotcha pages that it's like 450 something dollars, whatever. And that's assuming you
I
go
like that
max
they're
90 to max.
transparent.
It does make people feel bad though.
Yeah. I like that they're transparent about it, but and that it does show what people are spending in order to get their, pixel waifus. But the problem I have with it is excuse me, it still gives them the opportunity to spend X amount of money in order to get their pixel waifus.
Yeah. And
Like,
obviously some people are
if
going to be
people.
huffing copium as well and thinking that, well, I didn't spend $450 at least to get this 5-star, you know? And like that's also bad.
Yeah. If, like, if you're still taking advantage of people who can't control their libido as gamers, and that's how you're doing it, then it's still not good, you know?
Now, would
Like,
I
how
mean
many.
I mean I would argue that like gotcha is a two-way street. I'm not saying that it's not. It's not. I'm not saying it's not the fault of like the game companies, because obviously they make the characters appealing. They make players feel FOMO when they don't have the
Yep.
character to make them want to pull for it, right? So I like
Mm-hmm.
totally understand on that front. Like especially like as a person like myself who likes a bit of gambling, you know, like I do
Yep.
so with the intention of, especially for gotcha games. Like I say this every time to everybody who I asks me about what I think about gotcha and gotcha mechanics is I go, you're literally throwing away money. If you're not okay with throwing
Yeah.
away money, if you can't afford to throw away money, it's not an investment. Gotcha's not an investment. You don't get anything back from it. I tell people this, and people are
You are
always
correct.
like, "Oh, I don't understand why." I'm like, I think it's very simple, basic English. So I can understand
Yeah.
Gotcha being one of your least favorite mechanics. On the flip side, like I like Gotcha so much that I will play games like Holocure, which has a Gotcha mechanic, but it's like so much more like nice about it, you know? Because
Yeah.
like the Gotcha mechanic is essentially like, oh, I'm gonna pull on to get the character. It's a 1 out of 5 chance if there's 5 characters, you know? With a
Yeah.
10% chance of getting their outfit, but then it has like the fairest pity system where it's like, oh yeah, you can trade like if you've done 15 pulls, you can basically just buy a character with like the
Right.
pity system of that one. Like it's like the fairest of fair ways to do a gotcha system because it's meant to be very
Yeah.
like enjoyable, you know? I think KU has done and the Holocure dev team has done an excellent job in that. I think like that would be like the ideal version of a gotcha game, but obviously, you know, KU also specifically said that they're never going to monetize Holocure. So
Mm.
we can't support it other than to play it. Why what
Right.
is
Right. Right. Right.
that's why it's like top 10 on Steam.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
is really good. Well, plus it's also Hololive, so.
Well, the game's also fantastic. I'll say, as a person who likes me some Vampire Survivors and stuff as well. Like,
I
Holocure
was gonna say
literally hits
Vampire
every.
Survivors. Yeah.
Yep, Holocure hits that itch and that difficulty, like that perfect curve of difficulty too, playing the game as well. So it's
Yep.
like it's a lot of fun, you know.
Yep. Yep.
And
Oh.
all right, the next question, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
They only get easier from here, right? What is your favorite anime character? Okay, this one actually probably is very easy. What is your favorite anime character? I forgot I put this question in. We have to have breaks, we can't only have like we can't be like question 10 existential crisis time, you know?
Right. Oh my God. And I think this also might be the reason why I didn't put her as my favorite game character. Big Nip.
No, I would actually say that adult Nep's appearance in the OVA is very lackluster compared to like her
It is very loud.
actual appearances in the original game that she first appeared in.
I think,
In V2.
honestly, the only reason I didn't put her as like a favorite character in games is because Erdrick still takes priority.
Yeah, I mean, that's
he
fair.
Is his like the whole ideology kind of shifted the way I look at
Games.
fantasy. Okay.
Yeah.
Granted, hers did too, but like
Well,
no, I mean like not games. I mean fantasy, like straight up fantasy.
I mean, Matt, I
And
think some would argue that you're using a different head when you say that.
no.
What do you say to those claims?
What do I say to those claims? Well, no. The thing about Neptune, Ultra Dimension Neptune, Big Nep, is that she's human. She grows with the world around her. She's affected by the world around her. Yeah, she's an adventurer and she does most of it for fun, but there are points in time when she's like, okay, I have to put my fun to the side for right now. Shit's going down and I need to put a stop to it, otherwise everything's going to hell. That I admire. Because if you look at people that just like indulge in their vices too much or don't realize that their hobbies are vices, it will destroy them. She knows when to put a stop to her own vices or the things that, you know, she finds interest, her own hobbies, and sits down and says, okay, this is what's important, this is what needs to be taken care of. That's why she's like she's a very close second to Erdrick. Okay. I started looking at fantasy differently after I came across her as a character. Very much the same way I did with Erdrick.
No, but wouldn't the argument be more that that's from the games and not really from the anime?
It is more from the games, not the anime. So I'm gonna scratch her as my, you know, favorite anime character.
Just want to just talk about Big Nep. That's fair.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, there's a lot of characters that follow that trope of like, I'm silly until I don't have to be. In fact, you could probably name quite a few of the Neptunia characters. Because in Hyperdimension Neptunia, the animation, like at least, they very much flip between the we're in save the world mode into we're in silly mode a lot quicker because like you know, 12 episode anime series be like. No, but I get where you're coming from. Like that style of character trope.
Anime character though. Shit, I gotta think of an anime.
Serial Experiment Lane.
Well, yeah, but that
doesn't like, help you for finding what you want to like represent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it just saying like name another character from Hyperdimension Neptunia the animation?
I can't really. And say that they're my favorite anime character. I can't do that.
Oh, okay.
Because I will say most of the characters in Hyperdimension Neptunia are all personality and very little in substance. I will say that. It's one of the reasons why I've been writing NepQuest Ultra the way I have been, to add full-blown substance to the characters, not just personality. Sorry, I went off on another tangent like that. There's Shiro. Shiro is up there.
Shiro from
Fate Stay Night.
Oh, Emiya Shiro. Okay, got it.
Emiya Shiro, yeah.
Yeah, you got to specify because I was thinking I thought like 5 different characters named Shiro. I was like, which one?
Yeah, no, not the sister, not the little sister, Shiro.
Oh yeah, No Game No Life, yeah.
From No Game No Life. There, ooh, that reminds me of another, because the VA for Sora and Shiro, also played for Sorata and Mashiro. I feel like I'm gonna say Sorata in Sakura So no Pet no Kanojo.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because he is a person who, the whole reason he got put in a particular situation is because he loved cats. And he started taking care of a cat while he was still, you know, in a boarding school. But the place that he was staying and none of the other boarding houses allowed for cats. So he got sent over to one place that did allow for cats, and in everyone's eyes, it was a boarding house for freaks. And he's like, okay, I'm just gonna have to deal with it. But you know what? If it's for the cats, it's fine. Mm-hmm. He learns over the course of the anime that the whole reason that they are quote-unquote freaks is because they are unrestrained genius of passion. And they are so passionate about the things that they are geniuses in that nobody understands them. And as he grows to understand them, he starts to realize other people are more multifaceted than they find themselves. And he grows to see his own multiple facets and grows with them. I say that's amazing. And it's Mashiro who helps him to understand that, because the boarding house basically assigns him as her caretaker.
Yeah, as a person who hasn't watched Sakura no Pen no Kanojo, like, I was like, I have no idea, other than people were saying it's a very good representation of you know, some mental illnesses that don't get properly represented in like anime, like often.
Yeah, I don't even think of it as
autism
like
specifically.
A mental illness, though. I don't consider autism to be a mental illness. I just think it's
don't say that to people who have autism, because that's very offensive to them. Because it is a mental illness. Because it does affect their livelihood, very much so.
I know it affects. I know it affects their livelihood, but I think that's not the fault of them. I think that's the fault of people who just flat out do not understand it.
Well,
the
thing is like the autism spectrum is a spectrum. Not everyone has the same autism. It's like saying like everyone has a immunodeficiency, all has the same immunodeficiency disease. Like, no.
That is also true.
Yeah, there's a wide spectrum of immunodeficiencies that can exist. So it's something that will improve with the more learned, the more educated the people involved are. You know?
Fair. I feel like if you look at the days of ancient history or classical history, when you look at people like who was the guy who said Eureka? He was probably a nobleman who had a form of autism. And
I can't think of his name for some reason right now.
There's so many people didn't really understand him, but there were a few things that he had done because he had access to the capabilities to discover and find them, that he was able to change the world. I feel like autism, if you are not in a position of being capable of harnessing it correctly, is absolutely a detriment. Whereas if you were, and different parts of the
and you're saying that in the sense that like you feel that society has failed the person, not that the person is failing. Yeah. Just to be clear, I don't want Meth to get in trouble online because they are misinterpreting his words. He means that like people with autism should be able to flourish because society should allow them to.
Yeah.
Express themselves correctly. You know.
I would posit the theory that Archimedes was autistic. Eureka, I found it. The displacement thing for volume.
I mean, like, you know, there's a fine line between genius and insanity, as well. A lot of people say, you know.
That too. Yep.
All right, so Sorata from Sakura no Pen no Kanojo is here. It will be the favorite anime character designated here at this time.
Yep.
There we go. Dude, if every single one of these are tangent, I'm not sure if we'll finish in 2 hours.
Probably not.
By the way, question 4 is just, whom is your favorite VTuber? Is it just Aurora Phoenix?
It's gonna be Aurora, yeah.
All right.
It's definitely gonna be Aurora.
All right. I mean, yeah, you already said why, but do you want to elaborate or just be like, oh, got your point across?
Back when I had gotten to the point of getting closer to being able to VTube, like, I will admit, I had been wanting to VTube back before VTubing was actually considered a thing. Back around when I met anime for the first time.
Say this right now, he did not understand VTubing as from a VTuber fan. He did not understand VTubing at first, but
I did not.
I'm glad I didn't leave a bad impression on VTubers.
Right. Like, I had wanted to do that type of thing, like, create a character and portray myself as that character and do, like, video essays and make games and talk about things back before I even met anime. And I don't know where VTubers stood as an existence back at that point, but, like, eventually, like, he brought over to me the concept of VTubers. And I was like, wait, what? This sounds somewhat familiar, and it didn't really click at first. And eventually, when the two ideas linked together in my mind, I'm like, holy shit, I've been wanting this for years. I'm so glad people have been able to do this now. And I went in to figure out how to do it, and the how-to process was so convoluted, and it still is, I'm sorry, and there's so many ways to get it done now that I couldn't figure out how to get it done. So that kept me away from doing it for, like, a long, long period of time. Aurora, as a VTuber, was one of the ones who I asked about it, and I said, okay, I've been wanting to do this for years. I basically have an idea as to what I can do in order to make it work. How the hell do I move forward? And she said, okay, first things first, get your tech in order. Otherwise, everything's gonna catch fire. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. So I got my tech in order, and I eventually put the computer together, and that's why I look like I do now. Because my previous systems, I was basically just like a wireframe model with a couple of polygons thrown on there. Or previously, when I first got started, I was doing like a little animated PNG in the corner, and that was it.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, because, like, like, the cool part about being, like, VTuber stuff is it becomes more and more accessible as time passes, because, the technology gets better and easier to use, is what I'd like to say, but, like, there's a little bit of convolutedness with the way I'm doing it right now, and we're not going to comment on that, because that's entirely my fault.
There's a bit of convolutedness on how I'm doing it on my side too, but
I could literally just get a phone stand for my desk, and this would be a lot easier, but I don't.
Brother man, you haven't done that? Good lord. Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
In fact, it's because, okay, hear me out. Hear me out. I use a webcam.
Go ahead.
I used a webcam for capturing, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I decided to use my phone so that I could free up my webcam without having to get a second webcam. Yeah, because guess what? When we do, like, tabletop stuff, or when I do tabletop stuff, like unboxings and things like that, it'd be nice to have...
You need the webcam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Having... do you remember my green screen stands that I have?
I do, yes.
They double as camera stands, so I can literally just put my webcam on them?
Did not realize that, but...
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't either until I did it. Because I was like, oh wait, it's just a 1/4-inch mount at the top of it. Like, for, like, any standard, like, webcam.
The reason that I ended up doing that for my cell phone, and I ended up buying an iPhone, and I hate that iPhone is literally the only way you can get this done, is because it has the 3D camera that's used for facial tracking. Like, it puts, like, 2 infrared dots on your face.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
It scans your face in 3 dimensions so that you can properly use the software in order to capture your facial expressions and translate that over to your model. Which is amazing, the fact that they're able to get it to work, but the fact that it's only iPhone that lets you do that is just frustrating as hell. That was way too expensive.
I mean, like,
but without that, I wouldn't look like this.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just lucked out, because, like, the reason why I got an iPhone was because I wanted the iPad I got with it. I saved, like, $1,000 on the iPad I got, so I'm like, I can't complain.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that debacle, but we won't go into it.
Next
my God.
one. Next question. Question 5. What is your favorite and most hated movie? This is a weird one because I don't think many people will ask you this. You probably have a favorite movie. But I don't know if you have...
that?
Yeah, actually, I would say I would
now.
say with confidence you have a favorite movie. It's just someone has to probably remind you what it is.
Probably because it's been so long since I've actually sat down and watched a movie.
Could
for
be
one,
could
and
be
two,
the Lord of the Rings trilogy for all I know.
No.
Could be Star Wars.
No, absolutely not. No.
Could be The Matrix. Could be Space Jam. Probably not Space Jam.
God no.
What? What do you mean? I love Space Jam. I own the Blu-ray.
I know you do.
But I love
know
basketball.
you
That's
do.
why.
It's just, I
As
can't.
well. So like, I like all
That's
things
fair.
basketball related too. I like Air Bud.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie. As well.
Nope. Couldn't do that.
It
Not
could be The
Cars,
Mask.
Not Toy Story.
It could be, 12 Monkeys, The Departed. I don't know. I don't know what movies you watch.
12 Monkeys. Are you kidding me?
I'm a big Bruce
Oh,
Willis fan. I'm
God.
sorry.
I am too, and I really enjoyed that film, but that film hurt when I watched it.
Really, I really liked it.
That film
I
hurt.
own a physical copy of 12 Monkeys, of Sixth Sense, of Fifth Element, Die Hard.
Now we'll go back, because you said several before that clicked my memory, and now they're gone. So, we had The Mask.
The Departed.
No. Either The Mask, which clicked off Bruce Almighty, which clicked off Evan Almighty. Bruce Almighty was really good.
Would you say it's your favorite movie?
I don't know. It's somewhere between, and you know what? It's Jim Carrey. Holy shit. Jim Carrey specifically has been a particularly powerful force in the movies that he's been in for these 5 specifically. The Mask, he was hilarious. Bruce Almighty, he was inspiring. Sonic 1 was really good. Sonic 2 was fantastic. And then Sonic 3 was I think Sonic 2 is probably my best part, is probably his best best work.
So you're a big Jim Carrey fan.
But it's not my yes.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of Jim Carrey movies,
honestly.
right?
Yeah.
You can choose from.
There's a lot of Jim Carrey movies, but not all of them are good for the same reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, I wouldn't put Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind in the same category.
Ooh, Eternal Sunshine was so damn good.
I love that movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
And that's part of the reason why I like The Mask, I think. And I'm going to call The Mask my favorite. The reason for that is because it matches a good 50-50 between him being a jokester and him being a serious character. I feel like
it is very
Bruce
spot-on
Almighty
method acting. The Mask.
Yes, absolutely. You know how he got started doing comedy was actually just straight up impressions, right?
I mean, he's a stand-up comedian.
He's a stand-up comedian now. But
no, he was a stand-up comedian in the 80s.
Yes, but his stand-up comedy was strictly impressions back then. It grew beyond that. And that's really where he found his stride. Was when it grew beyond that, I think. Jim Carrey as The Mask is a perfect split in the 50-50. I feel like Bruce Almighty is too much silly, and then just enough substance at the end to make up for it, but it doesn't mix it very well. It's not a colloid, it's like an Oreo, if you will.
Yeah. I can see that, yeah.
So yeah, The Mask.
What is your most hated movie? Star Wars Episode 8, when we watched it.
No! 8 was one of my favorites.
Oh, really?
9! No, 7. 7. I hated 7.
Wait, you enjoyed watching 8? I remember we both
I loved
complained
8.
about
8 was...
about it being like very silly towards the end.
No, I think that was 9.
No, 9 was very... We didn't watch 9 together, though.
Did we not? I remember I bought 8 on Blu-ray, and we watched it that way.
No, we watched 8 in movie theaters. Or was that 7?
That was 7.
Oh, we watched 7 movies together. Like, you have to understand, guys. I watched 7, 8, and 9. And I remember, yeah, we thought it was very silly by the end. Is what I remember.
I remember saying it when we were at the theater for 7, and I realized Mark Hamill was going to make a reappearance as Luke Skywalker, and I'm like, you might want to duck. Because I'm like, the entire audience is just going to nut all over the screen. You might want to duck. And they didn't, actually, but I was right on their response. Everybody just started screaming.
Yeah, because
he
shows up like,
it's
yeah.
Luke, yay!
Yep.
And then the movie stops, and I'm like, oh god, this is so bad.
I remember 2 things from watching that movie. 1, we thought it was very silly. 2, you commented on the fact that I had so much popcorn left at the end.
Yeah.
Because I got a large popcorn and large soda. I always get a large popcorn and soda. They go watch the movie, that's why.
I stopped doing that because I realized I wasn't able to eat the popcorn fast enough, and nobody else wants popcorn as much as I do. So and it got really bad when I started taking it home, and traffic was just, drivers were super stupid, and I just ended up with a bucket of popcorn all over my floor.
Oh.
I'm like, nope, not doing that again.
Oh, I've done that before. It hasn't stopped me.
Yeah.
But like, I threw out like a third of the bucket though. I ate 2/3 of the bucket by myself. Anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I did not have the stomach for that.
But like
I ate like maybe 1/8 of the bucket.
Yeah.
I had 7/8 remaining, and they were now all over the back of my car, and I'm like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a small popcorn.
So Star Wars Episode 7 then, huh?
I don't know.
The beginning of the lackluster trilogy of Star Wars films.
I don't know. I loved 8, and nobody else did.
Yeah, I thought 8 was also very silly.
8 was amazing because it was a legit departure.
Was it?
It was a subversion of expectations, and I'm like, we needed that.
Yeah, but
Thank you.
The subversion of expectations was very mid. Especially seeing what came afterwards.
Oh god, 9 was fucking terrible.
Oh, 9 was awful.
9 was fucking terrible. 7 and 9 were awful. I liked 8 though. And I'm like the minority on that side.
That's fair. I mean, you know what? This is fair. These are your opinions. I'm not gonna judge you. I'm personally not gonna judge you over them. I'll leave that to like the audience too.
You know what I will say my least favorite movie is? It's an anime movie.
What is it?
Cat Soup.
Oh, okay.
I thought I was on a drug trip the entire time I was being forced to watch that.
Not in a good way, I'm guessing. Because, like, I watched Dead Leaves, and that feels like you're on a drug trip, but, man, is it very interesting.
It's completely nonsensical. It's like they tried to make a movie out of a bunch of shorts that made no sense on their own and made even less sense put together.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that being a problem.
So, Cat Soup is probably my least favorite movie.
Got it. All right, question 6. What made Dragon Quest? Now, okay, let's preface this by first saying, Beth, you are a known Dragon Quest lover, like in the can team, like easily, like if there's some things that people know, it's you are a known Dragon Quest lover. What made Dragon Quest appeal to you out of all other JRPGs? Because you mentioned before, it does something that like Final Fantasy didn't do for you.
Yes, and I actually finally clicked down last night during stream as to why I like Dragon Quest more than Final Fantasy in its story and presentation. It took a while to do it, but like...
So I just thought it's because Dragon Quest maintained the high fantasy, like, to like, the present day. And Final Fantasy is just not, like, eh.
It's not just that. Alright, so, first off, I'm pulling Zentreya here. First off, the thing about Dragon Quest is I taught myself to read because I wanted to play it. The first Dragon Warrior game, 1990, my brother was playing it. He's like 11 or whatever, and I'm like 4. And I'm like, I can't read yet. And I need to read. I need to be able to read in order to play and enjoy this game. It is very colorful. I like the music. I like the fact that you're walking around this big world. You get stronger as you go, but I can't understand what's on the screen. Fuck it, I'm gonna teach myself to read. So I started paying better attention when, my mom was showing me picture books, and then I got to the point where I was just reading them myself by memorizing and remembering what all the letters were like. This is before I even did kindergarten, so they were freaking out the fact that I could read when I was interviewing for kindergarten, and they're like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, like I had a similar experience. Like obviously with Final Fantasy, we've discussed this before, where Final Fantasy was like what finally got me to click letters into words into sentences.
Yep, but in my case, it was Dragon Warrior. Final Fantasy seemed less well constructed to me on the NES days than Dragon Warrior did. So I I went towards Dragon Warrior, and I enjoyed that. And eventually I played Dragon Warrior 2, and then eventually Dragon Warrior 3 on the Game Boy, years and years and years later, because it was a game that my brother got a chance to play, and I never did. So when it re-released on the Game Boy Color, I'm like, I totally have to play this. And so I did, and I loved it. And it stuck with me for like a long, long time. I had 200 hours racked up on that. Then I got into Final Fantasy, and it didn't hit right for me, except for 5. Because 5 mechanically, to me, had a lot more Dragon Quest substance to it, in which the game grows and evolves as you go, better than the other games do. Because you would be able to go back to previous areas with new abilities and experiences and re-experience them differently, which to me is amazing in a game design. But it really clicked in the story afterwards as to why I like Dragon Quest more than Final Fantasy's stories. In Final Fantasy, you're constantly playing as a character or a group of characters who are in a world on the brink of destruction, and you're trying to pull it away from the brink. There's always some kind of apocalypse you're trying to prevent. Almost always. 1 has it, 2 has it, 3 has it, 4 absolutely has it, 5 has it, 6 has it, 7 definitely has it, 8 has it, 9
has it.
I think does have it. It does have it, yeah.
Does have it.
But 10 has it.
Here's the thing. That's a common trope in JRPGs. That's just a common trope in JRPGs.
That's why Dragon Quest is, to me, different. Because they don't do that, except in...
3.
8? No, not
In
even
3.
3. 8.
3, literally, they're like the Demon Lord's gonna destroy the world is the entire premise of the game. Story.
Yeah, the Demon Lord's gonna destroy the world eventually.
Yeah, that's literally the reason why you go on an adventure in the first place. That's literally the premise of...
Let me explain. In Dragon Warrior 1, the Dragon Lord has stolen the Orb of Light, and now he rules from his castle in Charlock. He does not completely end the world. He is not at risk of completely ending the world. There's difficulty going between, towns.
He's just
the
bad
monsters
guy.
don't attack the towns.
He's just bad guy.
He's just bad guy.
Yeah.
He's just bad guy.
He's just bad guy.
It is an oppression that he has you under. You grow stronger, fight, and end that oppression.
I mean,
Dragon
like...
Warrior 2, Hargon, same situation. Dragon Warrior 3, Baramos, same situation.
I would disagree on 3. I think after playing 3 for myself in English, no, the game very much makes you feel like that the Demon Lord's return is going to end the world.
He hasn't gone anywhere. That's the thing. He's been alive and active for your entire childhood from before you were born.
Yes, with the threat of monsters more and more monsters constantly happening as you're growing up to follow in the footsteps of your father who has died on this mission. But he didn't.
That is specifically something that they put in the HD 2D remake. The evolution of the monsters growing stronger and stronger and more dangerous is only something they put in the HD 2D remake. Every other version, it's just a constant you're fighting against. It is an oppressive force.
Or maybe it's a good narrative way of explaining how difficulty works in games.
It's a new narrative way.
I think it's a good way to do it. So would you say that Dragon Quest 3...
you like Final Fantasy more than Dragon Quest?
Oh no, the only reason I like Final Fantasy more than Dragon Quest is I was able to beat Final Fantasy 3 in Japanese. That's
okay.
like it's a childish reason, but I was able to somehow solve the puzzles of Final Fantasy 3 in Japanese without being able to read Japanese, and I got lost in Dragon Quest 3 in Japanese.
Did your stream go down on your end, or no? It's just my signal. Okay.
Yeah.
Screen froze for a second. I got a little worried.
Yeah, it'll do that.
In 4, it's actually a reverse apocalypse event. The monsters know that a hero is coming to destroy them, and so they're going out to destroy the hero.
Yeah, it's self-preservation, which I get, which is a very fair cause to have. In this case.
Yeah. It's part of the reason I actually don't like 4 as much, I think. 5 is very good. It's another story of oppression in which monsters are enslaving children. Kidnapping children, enslaving them, and forcing them to live as slaves to construct this tower. You are fighting against a regime like that.
But essentially you're saying is like the majority of the Dragon Quest games they have different expectations from the players than your standard JRPGs do.
Right.
Most
other JRPGs.
Which even if the end result is quote unquote you save the world, it's not like doesn't have the same brevity as like a Final Fantasy game usually does, or like other JRPG series like Xenoblade Chronicles. I'm sure is like it feels like the world's gonna end if you don't do something. I bet.
Yeah.
The
Tales series
like
is
from the first few hours of Clear Obscure, like Expedition 33, it's like it definitely, even though it's not a JRPG, it definitely feels like, the world is in this like lose cycle, and someone needs to do something about it, kind of thing. Yeah. And or like, okay, Chrono Trigger doesn't, because Chrono Trigger also defies expectations. I think that's why Chrono Trigger is also very good. because it's
Do you
not about
know
you
what the
saving.
linking...
Because it's not like you decide to save the world because you find out the future is not that good. It's not that
Yep.
the world's ended, but you can also tell
Do you
that
know-
that's you can tell the team behind Chrono Trigger, is clearly Dragon Quest filled.
Well, you know why, right?
But yeah,
Same
of
writer.
course.
It's Yuji Horii.
It's Yuji Horii, yeah. And
Yeah.
Akira Toriyama did the art as well, so. And
Yep.
and it's
Koichi
it's great.
Sugiyama did not do the music.
He
The
did not do
was
the
done
music.
by
Yeah.
Nobuo Uematsu, if I believe correctly.
I
Anyway,
don't remember who did the music, but either way, like no, that's why Chrono Trigger stands out as a JRPG in my opinion, because like
honestly, I wish more people paid attention to Yuji Horii, because they would be a lot less disappointed, I think.
well, I think that's more of a Enix problem than it was a people problem, because I think that like
In
people
Japan,
who
NX
play
was-
JRPGs all respect Yuji Horii.
if they know he exists.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people know he exists.
Now they do, luckily.
No, I mean even
Out of the big
even
three,
back
he's
in the
not
day,
really-
like if you play JRPGs, you knew that those Final Fantasy, you know that those Dragon Warriors.
True.
And then a bunch of us played Earthbound, and went, wow, that's also amazing. And then
Yep.
there's those of us who played like Illusion of Gaia and things like that too, Breath of Fire, etc.
Illusion of Gaia was another good one. That was also another NX, actually.
Yes.
So,
And
Anyway,
I talk
we
very
kinda
highly
went
about
off
the
on-
Star Ocean franchise, which is Tri-Ace NX.
yep.
So I'm
Wait,
not
what was
opposed
the
to
question
NX
that we-
JRPGs. Oh no, it was what made Dragon Quest appeal to you out of all other JRPGs. And so yeah, I think we got a good
Okay.
feel for that because it they just built Dragon Quest different.
They did. They absolutely did.
Which my argument specific for 3 is because I played the HD2D remake in English and went, oh, it still feels very traditional JRPG coded in the sense that there's the story and the world building and stuff. But I think it's cool that you basically make your own party from scratch. Which
It is.
which is everyone's experiences are gonna be different,
Mhm. The only Dragon Quest games that let you do that. Actually, that is the only Dragon Quest game that
I'm
lets you
assuming
do
it's
that.
the only one.
You can technically do it in 6, 7, and 9 because of the whole, job system. But 6 and 7, you have different characters that join on and you change their jobs.
Yeah.
But each one of them are actual characters. The only other one that sets you up where you have blank slate characters, like you would in 3, is 9. And the job system is drastically different, for 1. For 2, they don't let you do it right away. They make you get to the second town first.
I mean, that's fair. In fact, if Dragon Quest 3 did that, I wouldn't have spent the first 3 hours playing without a party. Because I didn't realize that they wanted
I
me
thought
to
you
make a
said you
party.
beat it without a party.
Huh?
I thought you said you beat it without a party.
No. I beat it with a party. My party essentially were body bags. For the first 7 hours, because for the first 3, I literally soloed everything with just a hero. And I happened to get one of the best things, just by chance.
Mm.
Just for answering the questions, honestly. So yeah, I had a good experience with Dragon Quest 3. And the party members came clutch afterwards because I made one of them a sage and stuff like that. They were cool.
Good. Yep.
And
What personality type did you get in as your hero?
I play as female hero. I got the second best one for hero. I don't remember what it was called now. because I it was obviously from last year when I played it.
Yeah, no worries.
Like
I
10 months ago now.
I got to the point where I made a party full of amps because I realized that is the highest stat boost you can get.
It was Paragon. That's what it was. I got Paragon, which is like the second best behind Vamp. Yeah.
Oh no. If you're talking full stat boosts, it is not the best. I think actually the second best is Lucky. The thing about Paragon is that it jacks the amount of physical attack you go out, and it's pretty stable on your defense, but like your hit points and your magic don't go up very fast. It is not very balanced.
Yeah, and the good part, the funny part is about that is like literally partway through the game, I just put the equipment on that turned her into a vamp anyway.
Oh, you gave her the garter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I used the garter anyway later on, so it didn't matter. And so I was getting vamp stat boost anyway, like later on.
Yep.
Or like I say later on, but that was essentially like a third through the game.
Right.
Either way.
No,
like I see your appeal of Dragon Quest, and it actually makes me look forward to like playing 1 and 2 HD remakes when they come out, as well as Dragon Quest 11.
Yes.
And I've always wanted to play Dragon Quest 5. So, because that's the one with the meme of Kanzen Bianca, right?
Yep, that's why I said it.
Yep. So, I keep up to date with my my with some of the memes. And that's one of them.
That you do.
Right.
Just a heads up.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how I said I was going to hit record earlier?
Yeah.
I never did.
Well, luckily this will be available on YouTube and on Twitch for like a week. But YouTube forever,
I mean,
hence why.
Probably...
Well,
worst comes to worst, I can just extract the VOD. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Either way, if you want a copy of it.
Yep.
All right, next question. What are your top 5 game franchises? I know it's like kind of like a weird time to ask this after you talked about how much you like Metroid and Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
But you didn't mention anything about Castlevania. So does Castlevania make your top 5? What are your top 5? Game franchises.
Castlevania actually does not make my top 5.
Oh my goodness. I think Symphony of the Night will cry. Just that one game though.
Just that one game. Yeah.
Just that one game. Because I actually don't know
Dragon
if you enjoyed the other Castlevania games as much. I know you've enjoyed some of them, but I'm not sure how much you enjoy the franchise itself as a whole.
I have. 1 through 4 are irritating.
I like Super Castlevania 4 personally, but it was the first one I played.
Super Castlevania 4 is pretty good. Yes, I can say that one is the first one I've beaten.
Ooh.
That's the first Castlevania game I've beaten. So it's up there, but Castlevania is not in my top 5 of
Okay, yeah.
Dragon Quest absolutely number 1.
Yep. And they don't have to be in order, but yeah, if you get them in order, that's fine.
All right, so we've got Dragon Quest, Metroid, Neptunia. Final Fantasy is still on there.
Really?
I think, yeah. Because 5 was definitely 5 and 14, as well as 6, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 14, and 12 actually are good enough to make a strong, lasting, positive impression.
Okay, so yeah, like half of them made it, so like I guess that makes sense.
And then you've got the remakes of the remake of 1, the one that was the Dawn of Souls version, or the one that made it on the PSP, the Anniversary Collection. That version was so fun. That version was a ton of fun. If I were to think of one last one.
Terraria.
Zelda's still on there.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Zelda's still on there.
I'm surprised Terraria doesn't make your top 5.
it's because it's one game.
Yeah, but that's still a franchise. A franchise of
Is
one
it,
game
though?
is still a franchise.
Mm,
Like there are people who absolutely would say Stardew Valley.
yeah, I realize that.
Or Minecraft.
I can't say Terraria though.
Okay.
Definitely not Minecraft.
I know for you it's not Minecraft.
Yeah.
Now if we talk about my 5 favorite
So-
open world games, Minecraft will make it.
Maybe not even then, you know.
Well, no,
I
I
gotta
know.
think about the
I mean, for
open world
me
games.
personally, it would make it. I don't think it would make it for you.
Yeah.
All right, so Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy, and Neptunia. Do you think Neptunia still is
Yep,
deserving
are the
of
ones.
your top 5? Because I feel like a lot of us Neptunia fans have been slighted by
Falling off.
IDFA. Well, no, it's not that we've. Okay, so the franchise has fallen off, I'd say, in many ways, and I don't think that's a fault of the fandom. Because all we do is, well,
No.
or maybe it is because we just consume the slot alongside the few games worth playing.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like 1 out of every 3 releases, and they release like every year. Still, it's like 1 out of every 3 is just is like 1 out of every 3/4 is worth playing, which means the other 2 to 3 are not. And they release a game every year that all of us buy.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's a dedication. That's why it makes top 5.
Well, maybe that it is. Game Maker Revolution was fantastic in its design.
Really?
Sisters vs. Sisters was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I've heard Sister vs. Sisters. Game Maker Revolution, I heard a lot of mixed from the Neptunia fandom.
A lot of mixed.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't like that game, the Neptunia fandom.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay, I can see why on Switch it was a physical hardware issue. So goddamn bad. And when it came to PC, the only way that you could play it was by buying it on the Microsoft Store, and on Windows PC, playing it on Microsoft with the Microsoft launcher is a buggy mess. It absolutely is.
Huh. I've never had that
I-
issue with the Microsoft launcher on my end, but
I have had
that's just luck of
maybe
the
a
draw, I
1 in
guess.
5 success chance at launching the game.
Hmm.
So now that it's coming to Steam, thank freaking God,
Well,
we can actually get, PC loading times and hardware.
and
we don't have to deal with-
hopefully they'll fix the crash and stuff swiftly.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest.
I'm gonna see if I can reach out to them about testing it, just to make sure, all the shit that we ran into in the past will be locked in, addressed, and fixed for the new Steam release, because that's coming up soon. Mega Dimension Neptunia V2 was very well constructed. Gameplay wise, it's a lot of fun. The story's kind of back and forth on whether it's amazing and terrible.
Apparently
But
V2 is like the last canon main series title.
Sisters vs. Sisters is considered.
I know. I was explaining this to my friend Snipeshot the other day because I'm like, the Neptunia fan community does consider Sisters vs. Sisters canon, but it's classified as a spin-off.
It's a canon. It's classified as a canon spin-off. That's the thing.
Yeah, so it's classified as a spin-off, but it's canon.
Yep.
We know it's canon.
Which I think Game Maker Revolution is too.
Is it?
Canon, but a spin-off. Yeah, because
I thought that was more like
it's
more like For Goddess Online, where like obviously you can take place and it's obviously it can be canon, but it's a spin-off.
it's the same big nap.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that like what's it called, like For Goddess Online uses all the same characters from the the canon Neptunia franchise, but it doesn't necessarily mean that
Right.
like it's not like Super Neptunia RPG or like Sega Hard Girls is what I'm saying, where it's obviously a spin-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the reason I say it's canon is because it's canon to Big Nep's evolution of character, and the same thing goes for Croar.
Uh,
The reason why I don't see the same with Four Goddesses Online is because the things that happen in Four Goddesses Online don't
affect anything.
the characters in the storyline afterwards.
Yeah, because ultimately
Like,
it's just
they
a game
don't-
that they're playing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a game that they're playing. And the same thing goes for, there's one more game that is technically canon, but doesn't really affect anything character-wise. There's no character development. And that is, do you want me to say it, or would it spoil it for you?
I mean, I don't know which one, other one it could be, other than like the ones we've already mentioned.
I won't say then, because there's been another spin-off very recently. And they're still actually shooting out...
Is it the racing one?
Yes, that one.
Oh, I heard that game's bad though.
It is pretty bad. It is pretty bad.
You know it's bad when Meth says it's bad.
It's a valid attempt to figure out a new system and engine. I'm glad that they're doing work to try and figure out, new systems and engines, doing experimentation, figure out what works long run. But if they don't do anything with it, that bothers me.
It's only if they figure out and they start doing it well, right?
Yes. And that's actually part of the reason I made Neptune Quest, was because I wanted them, and apparently, the whole idea for Neptune Quest was I wanted to make something good, fun, and substantial, so that, Neptunia fans could sink their teeth into something, without, completely giving up on the franchise. And not a whole heck of a lot of people played it, but Idea Factory played it. Compile Heart Japan played it.
Yeah, I played Neptune Quest.
I was stunned when I saw the shit in Sisters vs. Sisters that was just straight up a reference to Neptune Quest. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? And then just one of the things they actually put in Reverse on PS5.
Another game that I'm just like, it's a remake of a remake. Come on, guys.
Yeah, it was a remake of a remake of a remake, but they put in water reflections, and that was something that I put in on Neptune Quest, was water reflections.
Well,
and because I thought it was cool.
Okay, that I'm not gonna give you credit for.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's
water
fine.
reflections is something they should be doing by the time you get to a PS5. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that.
that.
I'm just saying that they didn't have to release Neptunia Reverse to show off water reflections on the PS5 for the first time. Is all.
No, you're right. They really should not have.
Okay. I understand.
So yeah,
I understand.
I own, but I
understand where Legend of Zelda is coming from for top 5 game franchises. Like it just makes sense for you. Because if we talk about games, like it is a game franchise you do talk about a lot. Like not as much as Dragon Quest or as Metroid,
Neptunia, yeah.
or even Neptunia. But yeah, you like you're a known Legend of Zelda player, so that makes sense.
Yep.
All right.
Pokemon is not on that list.
I mean, I didn't expect it to be. Question number 8 was how do you get into VTubing, and we actually already answered this, so we could skip this question. Let's go. Question 9. Oh, this was something I want to ask out of curiosity from me.
Okay.
So, you very famously very angry at Crunchyroll for essentially releasing a precon, Princess Connect Redive.
Yeah.
You
As
enjoying?
soon as you said angry at Crunchyroll,
Yeah.
I'm like, I know.
Enjoying the crap out of it, and of course, Crunchyroll being Crunchyroll, they discontinued in like 3 years. Why did you like Precon so much? What is it that Precon specifically made you go, I love this game? And obviously, you felt betrayed when Crunchyroll closed closed the services for it in English, but you know.
I already had seen like artwork and some of the different characters and gotten to know, what their positions were in the world of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I saw when I checked it out, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna check this out and see what it's like. It was very colorful. It was very cute. It was very, very positive music. Very poppy. Poppy? No, that's not right. The music had some joviality to it.
Yeah.
The story was well put together.
Pretty dang good, actually. Yeah.
It was a sequel to the original Princess Connect, which I didn't realize was a thing. And when I found that out, I'm like, oh, suddenly all of this makes more sense.
Yeah, that's literally the first battle, the tutorial battle, before you get into the actual tutorial of the game. Yeah.
Yep.
Which I didn't realize right away as well, so understandable.
Well, that's the thing. It's like Redive is a loop. Redive turns out to be a time loop.
Yep.
But what happened before Redive was the original Princess Connect, which didn't include the time loop. It was literally just the person who won the final battle was supposed to be, made the princess of the game, and was supposed to be granted, certain privileges. But, and this is storyline true and really weird that they would do this, the person who won was actually a guy with a bunch of friends who were princesses, and he was the one who ended up getting the title. So the system freaked out, crashed, locked everybody in the game, and made it and tried to do a restart, and that's what Redive is. So that was weird.
Yeah, I just thought it was
But
like
Redive
interesting
was
that like you really like Recon, because especially because like seeing you like fall out of love with like other gacha games. Like I thought Recon standing out to you was like interesting. I just wanted to know, like, as a friend.
It was.
Because I thought it was interesting because I also liked Princess Connect Redive.
Yep, it was very free to play friendly. The tactics actually kind of made sense. After
I disagree with it being free to play friendly, only in the sense that like I had very bad luck in it sometimes.
Okay.
I to be fair, if you look at the average SSR pull rate between you and me, I pulled half as many in the same amount of pulls. Your luck was a lot better in Princess Connect, but again, you've seen my bullshit luck in like Fake Grand Order, both the good and the bad.
Yeah, and I liked how every character had their own individual story within it. The characters weren't just fluff for the sake of fluff. Every character had their own individual story, and you would see how their own individual stories would interlock with each other, and the reasons why they would interact the way they do.
Yeah, I agree with that specifically, because it gives you like that one-on-one time with the character sooner. Like in Fake Grand Order, sometimes like you waited like 2-3 years before a payoff of story happened between like characters that like released at the beginning of the game even. So like I understand where you're coming from there, because like from this one, like you can have a 1-star character that you have pulled like a lot of to like level her up to like 3-star, and then you have a full story to go through with them, where you like get to know them, get to know them outside of the game in the form of that dream sequence.
Which is weird because they no longer exist outside of the game. It's like everybody's locked in the game. You're like looking into memories as to what they were.
Do you care about story spoilers for Princess Connect? Redive?
Go ahead. I know eventually they find their way out, which is thank God.
So it's not that they find their way out, it's some of the characters or some of the players have the access and resources that can get them out of the game. So there are some characters who
Oh,
have been
that's
like,
right. Yeah.
yeah, there's some characters like Kokoro is like the big one, where she's finally able to be freed, but then she chooses to go back because she's like I need to help my friends get out, you
Hmm.
know. Which I thought
But
that
she
story
has
is
a way.
so cool. Which
It
I
is. It
do feel
really is.
cheated that we didn't get. That's why I started playing the JP version.
I couldn't play the JP version only because,
It's in
well,
Japanese.
yeah.
Yeah, understandable.
Well, not only that, but I would have to fucking start over.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that they have more. They have more powerful characters. It'll probably actually be easier to start over now, surprisingly.
The problem that I have with starting over is that
But then
time
it's like
invested
all the
in
time.
that
Yeah.
is now gone
Yeah.
forever. Yeah.
If you could somehow transfer your account into JP, or like I bet you would probably play again. But like
Yeah.
anything like
100%.
anything lower than that, it's like yeah, no. Like because starting over is
And now
difficult.
Yeah, and now it's not even worth it because that was what 5 years ago.
Yeah, and like we're like super behind in the story because like I said, like those parts of the story, I read it like in the Japanese version with like a translation on the side, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So like understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, like you know, unfortunately, the word of advice is like you know you don't trust Crunchyroll for gacha games. Like you don't trust the Idea Factory Compile Hard to for gacha games as well because they'll probably end the service in like 3-5 years.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised Mega Miracle Force actually lasted 2 years. I'm stunned.
Yep. And here's
That
the
was fun.
final question of
Oh.
yeah, this is the final one. So
Okay.
you are not only a game player, but you are also a game maker. You make your own games. You know, both games that are currently in progress that you're currently working on, and games that you've actually released after completing it, like Neptune Quest itself. What inspired you to game creating, and what continues to inspire you to do it to this day? You touched on it before a little bit, but like I want to get a deeper dive into that.
All right. One of the things that this goes down to the core of who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I value is the maximization of potential. Like, if I can find a way to make potential become reality, and then reality become inspiration for someone else, and then that inspiration to become more potential, that is my core. That is at my core. So, and I discovered this at a very, very young age. Back when I was playing Dragon Warrior and the original Legend of Zelda and Mega Man 4.
Good combination games, by the way.
Right? I used to look at... I would think in my mind, what would the Legend of Zelda be like if instead of playing as Link, I was playing as the descendant of Erdrick? What would that be like? And then later on it became, if instead of playing as Link, I was playing as Mega Man from Mega Man 4. And instead of just shooting your sword out, you did less damage with your gun, but you could also charge it up and get like a blast that just goes straight through. What would that be like? And I would picture these ideas in my mind and, you know, come up with scenarios as to how certain things would work out. What would be good, what would be bad, what would be too easy, and what would be too difficult. And it would, as I played more games, I continued to do that with every single game that I played. And eventually I just found myself, you know, looking for what I would consider the perfect game. And as I got older, I realized no matter what happens, there will never be such a thing as a perfect game. But to stop trying for the perfect game and just give up would be folly. Would be a terrible idea. Because who cares if perfection doesn't exist? if you never stop trying for perfection and, you know, bettering what comes out, what is created, then eventually everything will stagnate and nothing will ever grow in that regard. People won't be smarter, people won't be more creative, and it doesn't matter just gaming. But I like games. So I decided that I wanted to create blueprints for game ideas when I was young. And as I got older, I got to the point where I was able to start making games. I picked up RPG Maker VX Ace, and I said, you know what, just for practice, I'm going to put the original Dragon Warrior in here. Because that was the game that, you know, got me started. And because I was playing Neptunia, and we played Mega Dimension Neptunia V2, one of the lines that inspired the crossover was, you look about as confused as a doggo bouncing around a leaf guard. And I'm like, they just made an Aleph Guard reference. Now I have to make Neptunia meets Dragon Quest. Give me a sec! And I started working on that, and I eventually, you know, put it together, and everybody who played it loved it.
It was very fun, yeah.
In doing so, I managed to come up with ideas for different types of maps, and, like, I made... Planetoon became a two-story area where there was, like, people living in one area and then a commercial district, and I had a lot of fun designing that by creating new tile sprites for it. I made an entire city of, you know, people living someplace and running businesses in, you know, I think it was called Opal City, I think is the name. Mm-hmm. I made a city of agriculture, which was Emerald Pastures. I made a city of industry, which was Obsidian City. And every time I came up with some more stuff, it made my mind burst with more potential. And I just said, you know what? I have to start making this because it's fun, because I love seeing what can be created if you take ideas and turn them into something to experience. I love seeing that happen. Now I'm going to start doing it. And that's what did it. When I was young, I always wanted to be a game designer. And when I was young, unfortunately, I got conned out of the path of becoming a game designer. They said, oh, you want to be an engineer. Let's put you on the engineering track so you can work in the factory. Fuck y'all. For that.
Not quite the same, yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean, like, just like a quick question. Did you ever do, because I did this as a kid. And this was sparked by, actually, like, one of the games you mentioned, Mega Man 4, right? This was sparked by my love of the Mega Man franchise. But what I used to do as a kid is, with graph paper, is I used to make like graph paper levels where you hide power ups and stuff, like on the map and things like that, and you like be like, this is the route the character will follow, and then once you have this power up, you come back to get this other power up, just like Mega Man.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
What I did instead, it wasn't Mega Man that I did that with. It was actually Metroid.
Which makes more sense. I didn't play Metroid as a kid, and you did.
Yeah, I didn't play as much Mega Man. The only Mega Man I played for the longest time were 4 and 6. And I got to the other ones much, much later in life. But I did play Metroid, and one of the things that I had done is I drew like pictures and wrote out ideas of what certain obstacles would exist in the game as you went further, and how those obstacles were overcome, as well as what other things those capabilities would allow you to do to previous areas. I didn't actually get to the point where I was drawing maps until I was way older, but that was how I looked at game design. It was a setup of obstacles versus methods of getting through those obstacles, as well as starting points versus ending points in growth potential. So, and that's actually what went into designing Infinite Zero, which has never gotten off the ground. But
I mean, like, I think the cool part is that, like, you have a lot of projects and stuff you're working on, but you've also actually released a game that people can play today. Like, you can go and find Neptune Quest and play it right now. And
4 of them, I think.
Yeah. Actually. And, like, obviously, like, for Neptune Quest Ultra, you keep criticizing me and telling me I'm never going to play them, but as I said, I want to play the full package. That's why. I want it all in one,
Oh, I get you. And I need to finish Chapter 2 of Neptune Quest Ultra, because, like, I have had so much fun with it.
Now, if you think your creative muse is blocked by the fact that one Korean anime is not playing your Neptune Quest Ultra game right now, Chapter 1, I'll put it on my list somewhere, It'll get played.
Okay.
You just give me the word.
I appreciate that, man.
You just give me the word, okay? But I think your progress, one, I'm okay with waiting for games to come out, is probably why. I'm patient. Like, I've been waiting for Hollow Knight Silksong for how long? I don't care. I'll keep waiting for it. If it comes out this year, amazing. If it comes out in 5 years later, I'll play it in 5 years. Like I don't mind either way. Yeah. Like, I'm patient. I'm patient when it comes to. I have plenty of games to play now. I will always have plenty of games to play. I'm honored that like, to play games in general, because, like, they're fun. And you made a good game with Neptune Quest. So, like, if you said you needed like 10 years for Neptune Quest Ultra to be fully released, I'd be like, okay, that's your decision to do, and that's fine. Like, it's something you're doing on the side.
Okay, I just saw something that really surprised me. Neptune Quest has 35 followers. Neptune Quest Ultra has 16.
Nice.
Interesting. Okay. I like that. There were a couple of games I released for I mentioned Aurora Phoenix before. I made a couple of games just as, like, Halloween projects for fun and for her. And in doing so, I got testing out on a few other mechanics. In fact, the third one I created fully in 3D. That was my first 3D project, and it was a shit ton of fun to create. But she has not played it. Most of her teammates have. They loved it.
By the way, Matt, you know what's really funny? This is, like, now unrelated to, like, the interview and stuff as much, and more just because, we're chatting. But there's been this, like, YouTube's like, shorts that have been being recommended to me, where it's like this game dev that's talking about game development, on, like, how they solve things like timing issues and, like, pixel animations and stuff like that.
Yep.
I just thought that was interesting that, like, randomly I'm like, it almost made me want to start up my like because, like, I have, like, the Godot suite, like, the books to read about it, the Godot, like. Yep. So I'm like, oh man, I'm tempted to just, like, open them up and read. I have no real intention. The only reason I want to make a game is because I would want to make one, not because, like, I have any intentions of, like, trying to, like, tell a story or anything like that. But, like, for me, I like games that are fun to play. So, like, if it's good reading and the game's fun to play, like, even better. So, like, like, I give credit to you for Neptune Quest because, I streamed it in one shot. I one shot in 5 hours, and you accepted your mistakes in stride.
Oh my god, the things I fucked up.
Or the things you overlook, But you haven't asked me for, like, playtesting for, like, Neptune Quest Ultra, so I'm like, oh, I'm I'm like,
well, you said you didn't want to playtest it until it was ready.
No, I said I didn't want to play the game until it's fully ready. I'll gladly help with playtesting anytime, if you ever needed me to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you could playtest Chapter 1 and let me know what you think of it, please do.
Yeah, so yeah, like that's what I'm saying. If you want me to play Chapter 1, like I'll find a way to break it. I mean, I'll play it.
No, good. Find ways to break it. Honestly.
Because you know me.
If you can find ways to break it, please do.
I used to playtest, like, for fun. Well, I consider for fun, and not get paid for it, obviously, because it's it's not like a volunteer position. It's a I applied, I got accepted for it. Benefits of living in New York City is sometimes game devs would come and you get to playtest games,
Yep.
So I do not mind playtesting games.
Okay.
Or playing them in general.
Yeah, let me know, because I'm doing so much more.
Like I said, I have this entire coming week off. I'm sure I'll fill it with I'll probably find a day to play like Mass Effect, a day to play like Claire Obscure Expedition 33, and a day to play on the and this is the thing, I love games. I'm fascinated by the creation process. I am fascinated when I hear music. Oh wow, how did they do that? And I'm also fascinated, and that's why I enjoy playing them so much. That's why I still play games to this day. It's because if they weren't cool things that existed for people like myself to enjoy, why would I play them still? But I think that's the reason why. It's because they're cool things that still exist. You enjoy them. Absolutely. So yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you. Why I wanted to end off today's interview to ask about your game creation inspirations that drive you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's a good bookend for this interview. Hopefully, you guys learned about Methrael of the Can team. His links are in the YouTube, I believe. Let me double check. Make sure I have them there.
Yep, Twitch, YouTube, and Kick.
Yep, Twitch, YouTube, Kick.
Yep. Okay, good.
And if I remember to, maybe we'll add links to both Neptune Quest and Neptune Quest Ultra Chapter.
Yep.
Actually, Matt, if you message me those, if you message me those links, I'll actually add them to the description. Once the stream's done.
Yep. Shall do. I'll give you the direct links. Do you want them Game Jolt only or itch.io as well?
It's up to you. Whichever ones. You can give me both. I mean, I don't care. I don't care if it's bad file. I'll add as many links to the YouTube description as I feel like.
Crap baskets. Okay.
There you go. And you've been listening to the Nights into Dreams soundtrack for Meth's background music today. I said this last week, but generally I would want my guests to choose what their preferred game soundtrack is. Meth chose this one on a whim without even realizing how fitting of a soundtrack the Nights into Dreams soundtrack would be for his presence here. So very good calculated foresight there. Giving out I literally gave you a minute to choose.
You kind of did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, no. This has been the Can team. Look forward to more of these. And peace out, guys. Have a good one. Enjoy your day.
Ciao.